What is the feeling inside? Oh. Some of it's that I fear I can't stop. I don't know why I'm like this. I like being that guy that has recorded and kept the history safe. Like it's been, what, 35 plus years. But I don't remember ever deciding to collect. I just started to keep them all.
Collecting is one thing, but making a piece of history is another.
I definitely would consider myself an archivist. I enjoy that piece of it. But I'd almost think of it more of like a curator of a museum. I have literally every Ninja Turtles comic book since Ninja Turtles #1.
Even back when I was a kid, I was very detail-oriented. I wanted everything in its place. I wanted everything to be organized. If you look at the pictures of my room, you can see that all the action figures are aligned in rows, like they aren't randomly hung.
I have thousands and thousands of comic books. I thought the cover artwork was just glorious. Everything's cataloged. I really love making sure I know where everything is. I bag and board every comic book, front to back, stacked, maybe about 25 to 30 put those inside a magazine, wrap those comics in bubble wrap inside, put packing peanuts all around every comic, and then I stack those inside Rubbermaid bins. And then that's where they sit.
Back in the 80s and early 90s, they would print comic books using negatives, which is similar to how they would print photographs. And the original negatives for TMNT #1 surfaced online. No one really knew what they were, so I bought them.
When the negatives came to me, I knew they were special. You could tell exactly what historical pieces these were. These were the original negatives that were used to plate the 40 body pages of the first and second printings of TMNT #1. It was pretty apparent when I took them out of the box, like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. But I also knew how fragile they were. There were pieces of them falling off as I was taking them out of the box. I felt like it was my responsibility to take care of them.
Hey, can we pause for a second, please?
I'm just gonna check your mic real quick.
Okay, so you bought these, but how did you know that they were legit?
So just like with any valuable collectible, you have to authenticate it. So the way I did it was actually pretty cool.
Once I got the negatives and the comics spread out to compare, I started noticing some imperfections and variations on the pages of the printed books. So I took a closer look at the negatives to see if they might have caused these variations. When negatives were used to plate the printings, the printing technicians would use red lithographer's tape to mask or clean up imperfections in the layout. The cool thing about the first two printings of issue #1 is that they missed a few of these tiny areas, resulting in light leaks where you can see marks outside the page boundary. The most obvious example of this is on page 29, where a strip of red lithographer's tape covers a line of actual artwork on the negative, and that resulted in a missing line in the first two printings of TMNT #1. Once I knew what I was looking for, I began to find irregularities throughout the printed comics. But when it comes down to it, the smoking gun is on page 29. If there's no line on the edge, you have a first or second printing.
I think what we'll do is put this down on it. So we just have something soft to put it on. As soon as I authenticated what they were, I wanted to show people these.
Will that fit through the door?
That's what every collector wants, is to have a copy of Ninja Turtles #1. What if we could print from these negatives? This wouldn't be a reprint just for reprint's sake. This is a reprint to say we're doing it just like we did it 40 years ago.
The same kind of paper, the same printing techniques, and to get it printed in Maine, same as the original.
All right, first technical problem. I'm thinking, yep, that's the emulsion side.
I think there's an aspect of documenting the beginning of one of the largest franchises in comic book history. Do you know anyone that doesn't know what a Ninja Turtle is?
I'm 40 years next year in the business, and I haven't thought about film in a very long time.
It's artistry. When you look at these and you look at how they're taped and how they're arranged.
Oh yeah, you had to know what you were doing. I mean, I'm very, very happy with that.
Super cool. All the lettering was done on the page, all the effects were done on the page. But this is the closest true version to the original art you'll see. It was our first comic. We'd done photocopy comics. This was actually going through the process of creating something that was going to be our first official real comic. I've not seen these negatives. I've not seen this process since that time, almost 40 years ago.
I want to show you something really cool.
This is the one with the red tape.
I drew that.
Yeah, it's really nice.
You forget how fragile some of these things are.
Disappearing behind there.
Yeah.
And you spelled intruder right.
Originally, I didn't set out to do this when I started collecting. I wasn't going to reprint #1, but I am so far beyond the normal comic geek. This is at a level of archaeology. There's a method to the madness, even if no one else sees it. I haven't seen a newsprint comic book in so long. I mean, the smell of newsprint, like that is Turtles. This is just so exciting.
I think by reprinting this comic and staying as true as possible to the original production process, it's like reliving history. But it isn't just a copy of it, it's the copy of it.
And this feels a lot like the original. Holding that first book was pretty incredible. It was a tangible thing. Everything we did to make this happen came into line to get it in my hands. 11-year-old me would never have imagined that I'd be creating a piece of history. And it's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
People would use the term completionist as if there's something to complete. But any collector knows you're never complete. You're never done. There's always something else to get.